particular demographic group, being the children. So first pillar being the enabling environment. I think even from the previous sessions, they have touched on them being the laws, the policies that at least the government and the society need in order to deliver on the digital transformation, from the cybersecurity bill, cybercrime bill, personal data. We have a law that needs to be reviewed. And luckily today, we met with the office responsible for drafting laws so that we expedite enactment of these important bills. So sooner than later, the hope is the two bills, being the cybersecurity plus the computer crimes, will be enacted, addressing the same concerns that earlier Ndate Mahlwana alluded to, and also putting in place now structures like the national set, the same cybersecurity forums, whether the council, at least so that us as a country are more structured in terms of addressing cybersecurity, particularly addressing data for this demographic group. Then our second pillar is the digital government. So again, it's a whole of government approach strategy. We aim to implement a number of, or we are implementing a number of DPIs, starting with the one outside being the digital ID or the service ID. But government in essence, at least when it comes to children, every child born is issued a birth certificate, issuing them with identity plus nationality. At least that is addressed, but there's still room for improvement, where the same document, ideally we wanted to have it as a verifiable credential, and the same service ID being issued outside has a component of being birth or even accommodating even minors 9 months, have the same data inserted in the smart wallet, avoiding scenarios where as parents leave, the house is burnt, documents disappear, we move from one house or one district to another district, documents get missed or misplaced. At least within the digital wallet, such a use case can be, or problem can be addressed, where at any given time, a child can retrieve their documents without a need to revisit the same government office. But equally, I think it was 2 weeks back or 3 weeks back, we are seated in the same room together with from the support of UNICEF, where we are particularly zooming on DPI for children use cases, mapping minus 9 months up until 18 or 21. What services do children consume? Who offers them? At what stage are they? Are they still manual, digital, or electronic, with the aim to close such gaps? But also what was more important is also addressing now safeguards, being the DPI safeguards from the security, inclusion, and even vulnerability structures. So at least this is intentionally, us as a ministry, addressing the same demographic as we digitize, but be mindful that the data needs more protection, as is the topic of the day. We also have the third pillar, being the digital infrastructure. There's accommodating children, whether in urban areas, rural areas, erecting or having or giving them affordable and meaningful connectivity through BTSs. But also we have a program with the same support from UNICEF and ITU of the GIGA. As Lesotho, a member, or we are implementing a GIGA with the aim at least to ensure that children at school have connectivity so that they can participate meaningfully in this digital era. Then lastly is the digital population. This aims to equip children, teachers, We have ongoing activities where teachers are being equipped with digital literacy. How do you digitize some of the curriculum and also use the same schools as onboarding of the same parents in the villages, increasing that digital literacy so that not just a child is tech savvy, but also the parent, so that the whole ecosystem is tech savvy, hence increasing digital literacy. So those are ongoing activities we have that particularly address in different elements this demographic group being children. So there's still challenges or areas of improvement, especially when it comes to transparency and accountability. Majority of the time, a child will have a guardian or their parent acting on behalf, but to what extent does a child access or preview to what the guardian or the parent are doing on their behalf? So it says it's one area that we want to at least perfect, so that at any given time, whoever acts on behalf of a child, at least a child is preview to what are they doing on my behalf, hence increasing transparency and accountability. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ndate Tabane. Indeed, you have covered almost all, and it also shows that government is at the center of this ecosystem. I'll now move to you, Dr. Morolong, from the academic background, and your work sits at the intersection of education and technology. What role should schools and educators play in building digital resilience among children beyond basic digital literacy, to include critical thinking, online safety, and responsible digital behavior?
Thank you, Mema Mtukwana, for that question. I will respond to it by saying the first thing that we can do is to establish the educator as a digital safety advocate. And what does that mean? What we have discovered through the research that we did in 2024, where we are trying to understand the cyber risks that the children are facing in 3 different districts within the country, we identified mostly that there is cyberbullying, and we also identified that most of our children have gadgets, but they use these gadgets without parental guidance. And so what the educator as a digital safety advocate means is that there is the ability to identify warning signs of cyberbullying. So the parents, the children, and the teachers, and the community at large should be able to identify these warnings of cyberbullying, of online exploitation, or any digital distress in students. So, like, we know that education is not just a one-man thing, it's a multifaceted thingy where we have, we normally call it a 3-legged pot, where we have both the parents, the children, and the educators. So the parents and the teachers are basically the educators in this scenario, in this example. So what also needs to be done is that we need to come up with the skills to deliver proactive digital safety education to the parents that build children's capacity to build themselves. So in this case, we are simply saying we should empower our children. Instead of saying, don't do that, don't do this, don't do that, we have to, as parents and educators, ensure that we empower them. We try to show them that if you do 1, 2, 3, or 4, there will be these consequences. And also, when you talk of critical thinking, we can talk of critical thinking as a core digital competency. And by this, we mean that in this era where there are deep fakes, where there is AI-generated content, and there is algorithmic manipulation, critical thinking is something that is it's a skill that is very important to not just how to use technology, but they need to learn how to question it. Now, in the era of AI, when children are just acquiring information from AI, but what we need to instill in them is that they should question, how does this end up bringing or coming up with this? And when you talk of deep fakes, if there's an AI generated content using any of the AI tools, the children should question, how did this come about, instead of just consuming that. And the other aspect that we can talk about is the online safety education. And with this, we need to move away from awareness, but to empowerment, where the online safety education includes teaching children to recognize and report the harmful content, the grooming behavior, and the scams. And if teachers and parents are not capacitated enough to identify all these, then the burden goes to children, where now they'll be accessing the content, but without knowing that it is some harmful content to them. So I think that's what I can say with regard to that. But in addition to this, we can talk about how the schools or the educators can contribute, or rather implement something like a curriculum in a way. So they don't necessarily need to start a new course on online safety, but the schools can embed the online safety aspect within the existing courses. Like in mathematics, we can teach students about online battles using probability or so. In English, the teachers can just spare 15 minutes and while talking about online harassment scenarios. And these need to be as practical as possible to ensure that the students understand this, and it should be contextualized to the scenarios that are happening to them, or the cases that are happening to the students in real life.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Pinolo. I think everybody who has a kid in here would know how challenging and difficult it is to try to protect the kids online while they are even more tech savvy than we seem to be. This session is the short one. We are going to end it at this stage, but I would like us to first applaud our two speakers. Thank you so much, Melinda, for giving us this much information within such a limited time. Thank you. I would now like to call upon David Mwepeng. He will introduce himself. I think I would not do justice to his introduction if I do it myself. Thank you.
Dumelang. Ke lebega jwang? Ke lebega hantle? Ke a leboga. All right, it's still morning, right? A couple of minutes before afternoon. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to Madam Director of the program. As introduced, my name is David Mwepeng. I'm standing here representing the African Cyber Smart Network, which is a community of non-profit making organizations in different African countries that are dedicated to promoting cybersecurity awareness, promoting online safety through public education, through awareness campaigns. We good? Good. So I'm going to be delivering a presentation on cyber capacity building, looking at how we can build skills, how we can ensure comprehensive awareness in our communities, and how we can strengthen our institutions to undertake comprehensive, impactful programs, particularly when it comes to promoting behavioral change in online spaces. And at CyberSmart, we live by certain principles that we believe that the first line of defense when it comes to cybersecurity is within us. It's our attitudes towards digital spaces. It's our behaviors. It's our habits, and that cyber threats, online harms are as social, are as psychological, are as cultural as they are technical. And therefore, in protecting our communities, we ought to approach these issues from that perspective. So a bit about myself, my background. I'm a cyber psychologist by training. Did cyber psychology up to master's level, specializing in online safety education, cybersecurity awareness, but particularly on issues around behaviors, mindsets, attitudes that inform people's practices online, understanding why people behave the way they behave, particularly children, and looking into social factors, looking into psychological factors that make us vulnerable online. In most instances, I know we are emphasizing that it's important that the technology tools that are brought to us, they should come with security features, safety features already embedded in them. What my friend Andisa was talking about earlier, safety by design. But you would find that technology tools often come with security already embedded in them. And threat actors, hackers, scammers, they manipulate us into either sharing information that we are not supposed to share, that will give access to our banking accounts if it is what they are looking for, or manipulate us into clicking where we are not supposed to click, sharing what we are not supposed to click. So I believe that is the one area really in building cyber security awareness and capacity building that we need to look into, right? So I believe all of us here are cyber smart, right? Because people that do that, we call them cyber smart. Are we cyber smart? Are we all cyber smart here in this room? Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you that your safety online begins with you, okay? And this is what I do when I'm out there in schools. I like to have a great time when I'm educating learners in schools about online safety. And the one thing that we do is this. I want everybody to point at themselves like this. My safety begins with me. Let's go. Tell yourself that and believe yourself. My safety begins with me. Okay, let's go. I'm cyber smart. I can't hear you. I'm cyber smart. Speak confidently. I'm cyber smart. I pledge to stay safe online at all times by protecting my personal information and be mindful of what I share. I promise to think before I click, think before I share, think before I post. I will help create a safer digital world. for myself and others. I'm cyber smart, and I choose safety, respect, and integrity online. Doesn't that make you feel better? Than you've got this. Doesn't that make you feel empowered that you've got this? That nobody can take advantage of you online, right? So, as I indicated, CyberSmart the African CyberSmart Network is a community of organizations that implement public education programs. So we have, members of the network in different countries. But we started in Botswana, where we developed CyberSmart Botswana. We developed a comprehensive model that we are now currently rolling out to different countries. At the end of last year, we recently launched CyberSmart Tanzania. We are launching CyberSmart Mozambique very soon. We have launched in South Africa as well. And my head says CyberSmart Lesotho. So I believe we are coming to Lesotho very soon. So look out for that. And we have organizations from different Southern African countries in particular that are participating in programs that are delivered by the African CyberSmart Network. As Adam Smith from the British High Commission indicated, we have a program that we launched last year called Cyber Civil, where in the picture here at the bottom, you see these are civil society practitioners from about 7 Southern African countries who are participating in this Cyber Civil program, in which they will be trained, equipped with the skills, with the knowledge they need for them to be able to undertake impactful cybersecurity awareness campaigns targeted at different groups within their communities. Some of them work with young people, some of them work with the elderly, some of them work with people living with disabilities. So we have quite a wide range of members that participate in our programs that are constantly looking for ways through which they can, gain knowledge and understanding of the threat landscape and how best to help the communities that they serve. So the model that we developed in Botswana, so it's a program that has multiple campaigns under it. And these campaigns are targeted at different groups within our communities. So we have, our campaigns that are designed for students. So as you can see here on your top, is it top left or top right? There's a program called CyberSmart Student. So we work with partners such as the Botswana Communications Regulatory Authority, and my colleagues from BOCRA are here, Bonnie as well as Peter. Wherever you are, please raise your hand so that they see BOCRA is well represented here. And my friend from Lesotho spoke about the collaboration that they have with BOCRA. So they are one of our key stakeholders in Botswana. We are constantly working together, making sure that we reach Botswana wherever they are with the knowledge that they need for them to protect themselves. So we also have another one, it's called CyberSmart Parenting. This is designed for parents. And this came about after, when we were going to schools, teachers were saying, we like what you're doing, but our biggest concern is that children are more vulnerable at home, and they seem to lack proper guidance at home, because you would find that often children are more informed about the digital world. Some of us that come from the analog era, it takes us time to really, understand and really adapt to new trends in digital spaces. So they were saying that, children are more exposed at home and they seem to lack a proper parental guidance. So we must come up with a program that ensures that parents are also trained and equipped with the skills they need for them to provide effective guidance and ensure the safety of their children at home. So we work with schools, we work with communities, we work with parents-teachers associations in different communities. We conduct seminars, we conduct workshops, in the evenings, during weekends, when parents are off from work. And then we have another program called CyberSmart Champions. This one was launched about 4 years ago in partnership with the European Union, designed mainly for out-of-school youth. Because we realize that, this is a community that we can use to advance, the work that we are doing. So we train out of school youth who then become peer educators, and they work with, local authorities, whether it's the police, whether it's, traditional leadership, whether it's parents, teachers associations in their communities to promote online safety. And also in partnership with the European Union, we launched a campaign called Cyber Smart Girls. This one designed specifically for adolescent girls. And children are able to express themselves freely, a boy or a girl here, and you're trying to understand what they're going through. You know how that difficult is, right? They don't open up about their negative experiences. So we created a program where, there are peer educators under the Cyber Smart Girls program who then have sessions with their peers, often in closed environments, no cameras, no elders, and they can speak freely about their experiences so that they can share with one another and learn from one another. And we also offer professional training, particularly for non-IT staff. We have accredited courses. We have one on basic cybersecurity for non-IT professionals, and another one, advanced cybersecurity for non-IT professionals. And this is also out of a realization that in most organizations, when you talk cybersecurity, automatically people think, the IT guys. Whereas the workplace is increasingly becoming digitalized. Even the security guy at the gate, at the door, is using a mobile device and is accessing the company network. Even the receptionist, these emails that are being exchanged. So sometimes, organizations overlook, people in functions that are not regarded as key functions of an organization when it comes to training and capacity building. And sometimes you can take a cleaner to expose the entire organization to an attack. So we have developed programs where we train those people that are not regarded as, part of key functions within organizations, and make sure that they also gain understanding of, cyber threats and are able to help prevent organizations. We also undertake roadshows in partnership with BOCRA, government ministries such as the Ministry of Communications and Innovation, Ministry of Basic Education, where we go to schools, we go to communities, and we spread the gospel, we spread, the online safety message, to different communities, often in forums or in places that, you would not expect such discussions to take place, and we are able to speak freely about this thing. The idea really here is to demystify cybersecurity. Technology is part and parcel of our lives, of our social lives mainly. And, the issues ought to be approached from even, a social perspective, from a cultural perspective. So we are able to go to, and conduct, community sessions in community settings where we can have discussions openly and not necessarily in a manner where it's just professionals and people who are regarded enlightened or educated. And then we do quite a lot of advocacy as well, including participating in, and contributing to policy formulation and the development of cyber laws. Just this past year, the Botswana government enacted a Cybersecurity Act as well as a Digital Services Act, and we participated and we contributed to that in partnership with the Ministry of Communications and Innovation. In fact, our program was showcased at the inaugural Global Conference on Cyber Capacity Building, hosted by the GFCE in Ghana about 2 years ago, as a case study on best practice when it comes to building cyber resilience at grassroots level. So we have developed this model that make up Cyber Smart Botswana, which we are rolling out in other countries as part of the African Cyber Smart Network. Because we believe, how it is, the same threats that, people in Botswana face here are the same threats that people in Botswana, in South Africa, in Namibia face. Therefore, the best way to really tackle, cyber threats comprehensively is if we are able to come together, learn from one another, exchange ideas and insights and experiences, and approach it from that manner. So we have quite a number of programs that our approach is designed to speak to the interests and engage with the communities in a manner that will make them interested. Like for instance, for young people, we run competitions. We launched this competition, I think it was in 2021, in partnership with the European Union as well. It's called the Cyber Smart Challenge, where we realized that online, peers influence one another. There's a lot of peer influence online. Things go viral. Things trend on the basis of peer influence. And we're like, let's tap into the power of influence that's already exists in online spaces and use that to promote online safety. So what we do, we run a competition where we challenge young people. Of course, there are prizes, there are rewards. Often most of them become interested because they want to win a phone or a computer or money or a laptop. But in the process, they learn quite a lot. So what we do is we challenge them to develop informational messages, 2-minute videos that they then share with one another online. And in those videos, what they do is they express their understanding of online safety, how to stay safe online. And then they share tips with others, advise others on how to stay safe online. They think that they're doing that to win money or win a prize, but in the process, they're teaching others. They're sharing knowledge with others that can help them stay safe online. And we also have programs that are designed for vulnerable groups, like people living with disabilities, as well as the elderly. Our partners, we have quite a wide range of partners. I've already spoken about BOCRA, which is our key partner in Botswana, as well as the Universal Access and Service Fund. So they have supported our programs using funds from this fund. But we have partners ranging from government, ministries, international development partners, like the European Union, the DW Academy, the UK government here in Pretoria through Adam's mission here in Pretoria, private sector practitioners as well, or operators as well, like mobile networks. We have a mobile network called Mascom in Botswana, as well as BTC, and technology companies like Liquid Intelligent Technologies, Bofinet. Bofinet is a state-owned digital infrastructure management entity. Cyber Peace Institute is a non-profit organization based in Geneva that focuses on capacity building for civil society organizations around the world. And then Cyber for Deaf. Cyber for Deaf is an EU program that it has come to an end now. This is the program that actually helped us, launch Cyber Smart Botswana about 6 years ago. So they gave us funding to kickstart our programs. We also have, capacity building programs for sectors that we believe are vulnerable, but they are also key in advancing, advancing the work that we are doing, such as journalists. Fortunately, in my previous life, I was a journalist. I practiced as a journalist for almost 20 years, and that is the media is the one tool that I know how to use best when it comes to, public education. So what we do is we train journalists every year on how to report on cybersecurity threats and how to, develop content, whether it's for radio or television. And since then, we've seen, quite tremendous growth in the interest of, journalists on such issues. And there's constant reporting on, people who are being attacked, people who have suffered, harms or attacks of whatever kind online. And we also partner with organizations such as MISA, the Media Institute for Southern Africa, as well as Internews in running, workshops for journalists. We also have training programs for civil society, like the one I mentioned earlier. This one is called the Cyber Civil Southern Africa Program, where we have participation from different Southern African countries, and these are civil society organizations. Some of them are doing advocacy on, freedom of expression. My friend there, Mr. Kabelo Molo, has participated in that program in Pretoria. We have media practitioners, we have journalists, we have human rights defenders coming from different countries who participate in this program. And some of them is for their own safety online, because in the work that they do, some of them are vulnerable to state-sponsored attacks and maybe can be attacks from other threat actors as well. We also, conduct training for, policymakers, like government public relations officers, particularly when it comes to, communicating, developing campaigns and messages, in their different departments, as the government is talking of, digitalizing public services. And this was one of the main topics yesterday, that, we are as different African countries increasingly becoming digitalized. Public services are going online. Therefore, public servants ought to be trained and equipped with the skills, with the knowledge they need for them to be able to understand, the dynamics, the threat landscape, and be able to communicate with their constituents, with the communities, with the citizens who they serve, who they provide these services to. So we also train teachers through our accredited cybersecurity training courses. So we have programs that we roll out to train specifically teachers so that they can teach online safety and integrate online safety effectively in their lessons in schools, and provide the guidance that is needed as we are digitalizing the classroom. We are rolling out technology in classrooms. We are distributing laptops and tablets and devices of various kinds. It's important that the teacher is also equipped for them to be able to guide the students on such matters. Rural communities, we have flagship programs that we run every year through road shows, as I indicated, and you can tell, when you look at these images, these are elderly people who are extremely vulnerable and are being targeted. And I'm sure it is the same case here in Lesotho, where pensioners are losing money to these scammers, who call them, lie to them. I'm calling from Econet. We are, upgrading your KYC, or we are calling from such and such entity, and you have won yourself money or whatever it is. So this is happening almost on a daily basis. Even this morning, I received a text from somebody who lost 30,000 Botswana pula to scammers. So on a regular basis, we get people coming forth and saying, listen, I need help. This has happened to me. And, this is a demonstration of just how we need to intensify our public education and also engage with communities in a manner and in forums and in places that they can relate with the education easily. We do quite a lot of media outreach as well, constantly on radio, television, as well as newspapers, sensitizing communities, helping them with the messages that they need to really adopt safe online practices and stay safe online. We also participate in key national activities such as commemorations for Safer Internet Day, as well as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, working closely with key stakeholders such as BOCRA, as well as the Ministry of Communications and Innovation. And it is important, one of the areas I was asked to talk about is in terms of capacity building. How do we make sure that we do it in a manner that can lead to impact and change? And the good thing in Botswana is the leadership is committed to these issues. And as you can see here on the top left corner, we were launching a campaign called Tanso Botsotsi. It's a cybercrime awareness roadshow where we travel around the country sensitizing communities about cybercrime. And we were launching it here with the Minister of Communications and Innovation. This is our current Minister of Communications and Innovation, when we were launching this campaign. And then about 3-4 years ago, we launched the Cyber Smart Student Campaign, also with the support of the then Minister of Communications and Innovation. This is him here. So and then here at the bottom, we're launching a Cyber Smart Schools Roadshow. And this is an initiative that is a partnership between ourselves, BOCRA, as well as MASCOM and the Ministry of Communications and the Ministry of Education. And as you can see here, this is our current CEO of BOCRA and the CEO of MASCOM, rather one of the executives at MASCOM, when we were unveiling this roadshow a couple of years ago. So as you can tell, there is commitment, there is dedication from our leaders, whether at corporate level as well as government level, to really make sure that such initiatives are rolled out and deliver meaningful impact. Our program has been featured in the Global Cyber Expertise magazine. This is a publication by the Global Forum on Cyber Expertise in Geneva. So this is a recognition of the work that we are doing and how they are lessons for other countries to roll out such comprehensive campaigns. So in terms of schools capacity building, now towards the end of my presentation. So we have the Cyber Smart Schools program that we have developed working with the Ministry of Basic Education. And it looks at 3 areas. How do we build capacity among teachers? How do we build capacity in terms of schools, school administration, from school administrators, managers, school leadership in its various forms, as well as at learner level. So 3 years ago, we developed an online safety guidebook for schools. So we have developed resources that educators can use, can refer to on a regular basis if they need to understand the dynamics and the threat landscape and what they need to do for them to be able to respond effectively to whatever threats that they would be encountering. So we worked with the Ministry of Basic Education as well as the DW Academy to develop an online safety guidebook for schools. This provides guidelines to school communities at various levels, right from the minister. What are the responsibilities of the minister? What are the responsibilities of the permanent secretary? What needs to happen at school administrator level, at school head level, at teacher level, at learner level, at parent level? So it outlines all those things so that schools can respond effectively to the threats. As well as we have a guidebook. This one is called Cyber Smart Schools, a guidebook on online safety campaigns for schools. This serves as a guideline for schools in terms of what they need to do for them to come up with their own initiatives. What ideas are there, what concepts are there that they can adopt, that they can introduce in their own schools. And then for teachers as well, as I indicated earlier, that often you find that the teacher is not trained on such issues, but they need to guide students, guide learners. So we have developed guidebooks for teachers at various levels, from primary school to junior secondary to senior secondary. And in these books, there's material that teachers can use to deliver classes, to deliver lessons, and it guides them in terms of understanding of the threats and the vulnerabilities of children online. And then we also have books that we have developed for learners themselves. And in these books, I'll be done just now. 1 minute. And in these books, the idea really here is to support curriculum. And also, and this came about out of realization that, and this is across the region. And I'm sure maybe Lesotho, maybe you guys are doing very well in this area. But I know in almost every country that we work with, we've been talking about revising our curriculums for the past 10 years, and it just never happens. But the digital landscape is evolving rapidly. So the threat landscape is evolving rapidly. So there are all these new technologies, but the curricula is not catching up with the rapid evolution of technology. So what we do is we develop materials that can support curricula and help teachers, help learners. And we use quite various tactics in these books, such as storytelling, in which we use everyday life experiences so that the information can become relatable. And we use characters that they can relate with, like using local names. So some of the characters that we have in there, Kibot Hato, Kibot Lesedi, so that they can relate with. So it doesn't sound like Gido Zako America, Gido Zako Mahasing, right? So things like that. And then also we have reflection exercises where a teacher can deliver a lesson on the world of social media, for instance. And at the end there are questions that she can then give to the learners as an exercise, just to check if they really are developing understanding of the issues. And the books are age appropriate. So we have, guidebooks for, learners at preschool level, primary school level, as well as secondary school level. And we've made sure that the parent, my friend, is not left behind. You did indicate that a majority of us here are parents, but yeah, ne? How many of you have children that say, Daddy or Mommy, I know your phone more than you? Like my son says that to me all the time. You know, he thinks he knows my phone more than me. Like, and here's the thing. For us, you know, a majority of us here were there during the analog era, right? You know, just transitioning from analog to digital, it doesn't happen overnight, right? You know, we struggle a bit and it takes us time until we're really, really sure. You know, so we have material that we have developed to provide, to guide parents and also get parents to understand exactly what children do online and the vulnerabilities that exist and the threats that exist and what they need to do to ensure the safety of their children online. Because, you know, our engagement, as I indicated earlier, online is often more behavioral. It's more behavioral, it's psychological, it's cultural. There are social factors that determine whether or not you like to show off on Instagram or not. And those are the factors that will determine whether you stay safe or not. You know, so that was my last. I'm done. Thank you so much. That's 2 pence. You're going to zero. I have 3 pence.
Many pens. Oh, yes, still in that. Thank you so much, Ntate Moepeng. I think from his presentation, what stands out is the importance of a whole of society approach as we're trying to protect everyone. They are not leaving anybody behind. Kids, elderly, we have seen it all on his presentation. We have our last speaker for today. That would be Ntate Modupi from Lesotho Communications Authority. But before I call him, I would like to do some legal housekeeping so that when I leave this stage now, this is the last time you see me. After Ntate Modupi's presentation, we are going to have our lunch break. And after lunch, we have a closed executive committee meeting. So for you, ladies and gentlemen, the rest of us will meet again tomorrow. Same place, same time, 9 a.m. So Ntate Modupi will do the closing. Thank you very much.
The distinguished delegates, good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Yes, I'm good. My name is Modupe, and currently I'm serving at the Lesotho Communications Authority as the Chief Information and Technology Officer. The Cyber Security Manager, Mr. Mashwane, has been helping us a lot in that area. And I believe in this presentation, I'm going to omit some of the things that he has done or presented. And I will only present a few things that are of importance to us. And let me take this opportunity to express my gratitude to be presenting the status of our country and what we have been doing in ensuring that our critical infrastructure is protected. So in this presentation, as the cybersecurity manager has provided us with the information regarding the incident response, I think what I'll be doing is just to give you what actually happened for us to be here. And I will start with giving you how it all began and what we have done and where we intend to go. And that will be how I'm going to provide the information I'm talking about. I will start first with giving you the Lesotho digital landscape. And to me, it just says who are the people we are protecting and why cybersecurity matters right now. We then look at the authoritative assessments of where Lesotho stands. We actually conducted 2 assessments, the Cybersecurity Maturity Baseline and the Global Cybersecurity Index. We participated in the ITU survey. And then I'll walk you through the concrete steps Lesotho has taken to address gaps across all the 5 dimensions and pillar of the 2 assessments. And what we'll also do is to focus specifically to the critical information infrastructure and the sectors that are the backbone of our economy. And I will also show you what we are doing to protect them, and we'll close with our high-level roadmap. So before we can talk about anything, I think it's okay to understand who we are protecting, as I mentioned, and the environment we are operating in. Now, what we did in 2023, we had a survey to assess the status of ICT in Lesotho. We were actually looking at the usage of ICT by household and the individuals. So my presentation will be focusing on that report. And in that report, this is what you will find. What we see here is that I think this was since 2016, the population was around 2.2 million. And with this report, what we found was 83% of Basotho own a mobile, and that 65% of them use mobile phone. In actually, it's mobile money. And then we also have about 58% using the internet. And unfortunately, we have around 6.7 using government online services. So it means that we have a lot to do there. But there is a bit of a concern where we have about 35% of the internet users with ICT skills. And that means nearly 2 out of 3 people using the internet in Lesotho are doing so without the knowledge to protect themselves. And these people may be exposed to different dangers, like being exposed to phishing, They are also vulnerable to SIM swap fraud. They are targets to social engineering, and they even do not know that they are targets. So most of the time, I'll always say that cybersecurity is not an optional thing, but it is foundational. So as I have mentioned, in 2023, we conducted the survey, and in the same year, we also engaged C3SA as the cybersecurity manager, alleged that we are working with them. And what we did was to evaluate the national cybersecurity readiness across the 5 dimensions of the CMM model. And that model, it has ranges to say you are at a startup level, and that will only mean that you have a capability of barely existing, and then the model will go all the way through the formative stage, established stage, strategic stage, and the dynamic stage. And that report, you can go look for it at civilportal.org so that you get all the information. So from that report or the assessment, this is what we got. And looking at our 5 domains, the report showed that we are really at a very, very low level because the majority of the domains are at the startup, and that is basically the starting line, not in the middle or not in the end. So, but then knowing exactly where you are is the first step of getting where you need to be. So as you can all see, we have significant foundation gaps across all the 5 dimensions, but this assessment gives us the roadmap for exactly what we have to do. Just going into detail of the level, the systems this nation cannot function without has not been formally identified or regulated, and that is the first dimension. And then when we look at on the cyber culture and society, that is the second dimension, awareness is very low across all segments. That will be the public sector, the private sector, as well as the individuals. And most people do not understand their online risk. Most people do not know their data protection rights. And critically, when incidents happen, they don't even know where to report those. That is because at the time, there were no reporting mechanisms, and people didn't know even how to use them. On the other dimensions, specifically say the knowledge and capabilities, so this is where we feel we were to take action very quick, because as you can see, we have a severe skill gap and no structured pipeline to fill it. The problem there that we needed to solve was to ensure that people need to get ICT skills, because you also observe that only 2/3 of the people do not have skills in IT, so they just use the devices without knowing exactly what to do and how to behave there. On the regulatory frameworks, the legal frameworks existed, but they were in fragments, and they didn't really deter any sophisticated cyber actors. On the standards and technologies, we at least had something, especially in the telecom sector. The CMM rated it at a slightly higher formative level, and that became the foundation where we built all our progress and ensure that we continue smoothly. I talked about the GCI index. We did have a few surveys, participated in, I think it was 2. The first one was in around 2015, and then there was another one in 2018, and then we had 2020, sorry, and then we had the 2024. And now what I'm going to show you here are the results of the 2024. And the model actually changed the way the scores were allocated as compared to the first 2. And what happened here was that the model was assessing the performance across 5 pillars as well. And those were the legal measures, technical, organizational, capacity development, and cooperation measures. And each was scoring out of 20, which was which will make a total of 100. So whatever score you were getting, you'll be scored out of 100 as an aggregate of those 5 measures. And these were the results. And as you can see, we were scored at Tier 4 evolving. And that meant that we were at the second from the bottom, because the model starts first with what they call the building stage, which is Tier 5, and then it goes to Tier 4, the evolving, Tier 3, establishing, Tier 2, advancing, and the first one, Tier 1, was the role modeling. So, as I've mentioned, we were second from the bottom. Now, we needed to do something. Looking at the CMM and now the GCI results, because the 2 helped us to pave a way and then guide us on what we were supposed to do. So we developed a map and a course of action to tackle what was in front of us. And I can safely say what we were having here are not just aspirational things. These are the things that have actually happened. And now, this is what we did. On the policy and strategy, we engaged the ITU and help us to develop the cybersecurity strategy framework. This is currently in progress. And in 2024, we also did the tabletop exercise with stakeholders. bringing the government, industry, and regulators to the same table to set up our governance and response approaches. We have also initiated the cybersecurity bill then and began national level coordination discussion on advisory structures and national set. And the impact on the GCI is clear that we are strengthening the organizational pillar, moving from ad hoc response to coordinated planning. And then on the awareness and culture, we have been having a national cybersecurity awareness, and in October we normally have the cybersecurity month, for example, and that's where we will engage stakeholders from different organizations, and we have been demonstrating real cyber threats to the public, as well as other organizations and individuals. And we have also conducted multi-stakeholder training workshops. I think the cybersecurity manager have mentioned those. Now, on the education and skills, we have been getting support from the EU on cybersecurity training, and this was for central bank to build the resilience in the financial sector, and also in the communications or telecommunications sector, we had different capacity building programs. We have done what we call the DFS clinic together with the central bank in order to capacitate our members of the two sectors, and these are actually good starts, but we needed a structured national skills framework, which we have not really done. So we are hoping that as we go, I think maybe in the coming months we'll need to engage and say, for example, come up with the cybersecurity curriculum at the universities. Our universities, I think they have recently started now having the curricula, which we think will be important to the nation as a whole, and to improve our cyber workforce. And eventually that will help us not to import the cyber workforce, which we are currently doing. So this just summarizes what we have done pre-2023, that is before we did the two assessments, and what we did after looking at the assessments and then paving a way forward. So what we see here is actually a trajectory where before 2023 we were, and from 24 to 26 we can safely talk about the national set with instruments that we are going to put in place. Now, having discussed what we have been doing, I think it's now important that we look at specifically now what we are protecting. We talked about people, and I think now it's time to talk about our infrastructure. So when we talk about infrastructure or national critical information infrastructure, we are basically talking about infrastructure that, if collapses or disrupted, will affect our economy. And although this has not yet been confirmed or adopted, we have identified that Lesotho has 6 priority areas or sectors that will need to be looked at. And the legal definition of the CII actually comes from the Cybersecurity Bill. Remember, we had the Cybersecurity and Computer Crime Bill prior 2025 as a single document, and then it was divided into the Cybersecurity Bill and then a Cybercrime Bill. And now, in the Cybersecurity Bill, that's where we have definition of the CII. And the designation authority rests with the Minister of Communications in this regard. And this is important because this gives the CII protection a formal legal mandate, and it is not something an agency can arbitrarily decide upon. So we see that we have the telecom, the financial, energy, government, health, and water sector as our critical information infrastructure sectors. And what risks are there to be affecting these 6 sectors? In the telecommunications, we can see that we have the network outages as well as the infrastructure sabotage and the SIM swap fraud. And this SIM swap fraud also goes to the financial. And we can also recall that we have around 65% of Lesotho using mobile money. So that means that area also needs our attention. So now, what are we doing about protection of the CII? So right now, I'll just take you through our level measures first, and then we'll go to the sector-specific efforts, and finally, cross-cutting mechanism that connect everything together. For the policy and governance, we are developing a national cybersecurity strategy that I talked about. And from the regulatory oversight, we have issued the guidelines that looks after the MNOs, the ISPs, and the telecom operators. And these guidelines, they are aligned to the ISO 27001 and NIST framework. And LCA has to see to it that all the licensees, which are the MNOs, ISPs, and telecom operators, comply to these frameworks. I think you can also get those from the LCA website. On the incident response, the set has been established, and it has even been elevated to the national set while we are awaiting enactment of the 2 bills. And this I think so far, as the cybersecurity manager has provided, it is coming, and honestly, we see improvement in the sector. Now, on the international and technical partnership, the manager has actually mentioned a list of organizations, and these organizations, we have MOUs with them. So it is not just like we talk or what is normally called the gentleman's agreement. We have MOUs, and these MOUs, we monitor them. We ensure that whatever we have in those MOUs gets done. Now, being specific to the different sectors, the telecoms sector is the one that is relatively advanced compared to the rest, and it is followed by the financial services sector. And yes, with the e-services and e-government projects coming, the government is also developing, but there are some fragmentation here and there. As for the energy and the water sector, yes, there are some levels of protection, but needs more engagement. We hope that with us being the national set, the engagement will begin, so that at least we have everything in place. The manager talked about the census, so that we don't only look at the internet facing, but we also look at what is happening within. They are intrusive, and we are hoping that once we have those, we'll be able to monitor the whole nation. So, connecting our sectoral efforts are the three cross-cutting mechanisms: capacity building, threat monitoring and intelligence, as well as cyber exercises. On the cyber exercises, I think we conducted the exercise in 2024 that brought the government, industry, and regulators on the same table to sit and talk about the status and what needs to be done. Now, where are we going? We have the roadmap, and this roadmap is not really generic. We have assessed what we need to do, and we believe what we have will help us achieve and secure our CII. And with that as a hypothetical vision, we have 3 phases that we will be approaching the protection of the CII. The first one being the foundation, and the objective of this is to move from policy intent to an operational baseline. And we have 4 actions in there that must be done. The National Cyber Command, formalize the CII protection, as I said, that is yet to be formalized by the minister after the enactment of the cybersecurity bill. And then we also have to finalize the legal instruments, the the cybersecurity and cybercrime laws, as well as finalize our cybersecurity strategy. We also need to do the national risk assessment, whereby all assets will be assessed and get their status or vulnerability. The second and the third phases will be to integrate and look at what all these sectors are doing and at least have a single view of the sector as a nation and not as individuals. Now, running across the three phases of our roadmap are the three pillars that must be the funding model. And this is where we say the cybersecurity requires sustained investment. So it will be very critical to pursue public-private co-investment, which spreads the cost and aligns the incentives. The monitors that we talked about, we are hoping that as we go, there will be maybe a sharing of cost between the sectors so that we reduce the cost of implementation. And the last one being the standards adoption. We intend to, as we have started with the guidelines, adopt the ISO 27001 together with the NIST cyber security framework. And we are hoping that following the two will standardize the implementation of the cyber security. Yes, madam. Okay, let me just finalize. We have the 5 takeaways. The first one is we know that Lesotho has a mobile-driven risk. It is one of the most mobile-connected nations in Africa, and that connectivity is an asset, but it expands our attack surface every day. So as long as we put in infrastructure, as more people connect to the internet, that expands the attack surface. So we need to do something about it. Secondly, we have the CGI and the CMM assessments. We are hoping in the next assessments, especially the GCI, because the 6th edition of the GCI has already started, and it will be out maybe by the end of 2026 or early 2027. So we are hoping we'll go to the following stage. Thirdly, we have taken not just made the policy, we have the LSCOM set, and the regulatory guidelines are there, and the legal reform is underway. We have the international partnerships, and the fourth one, the critical information infrastructure, is our priority. We have the 6 sectors that we have identified, although they are evenly protected, with telecoms and finance being relatively in front of the other 4 sectors. I talked about the roadmap to say we have the 3 phases, and we believe with that our approach will be able to achieve whatever we want to achieve. And finally, I would like to say the future of Lesotho's digital economy will not be determined by how connected we are, but by how securely we are connected. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we give a round of applause for Ndate Modupi? This will always be a challenge when you give technology people to talk about technology. The passion comes out and the engagement becomes longer and longer. And there's evidently, for everyone here, it's clear that we are doing a lot in terms of digital transformation, in terms of security. So can you actually now give us a round of applause as Lesotho that we are actually doing a lot? With that said, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the second day of our digital forum. And now we're going to break for lunch, and after lunch, we will have a closed session. But before lunch, we've been having lunch, we've been having very beautiful meals in the mornings. We had a beautiful dinner for some of us last night. All those are sponsored by Lesotho Communications Authority. Can you give them a round of applause, please? In fact, not even to brag, but if there wasn't Lesotho Communications Authority, this particular forums would not even be here. Can we give us a round of applause, please? So clearly, Lesotho Communications Authority is doing big things. You need to connect me with them. Can you give that a round of applause, please? And now, ladies and gentlemen, as a token of appreciation, Lesotho Communications Authority has organized little packages that will be given for only those who